with that, without further ado, let's bring up Garga here and get things going.
Hey guys.
GM, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I would think at this point everyone listening is well aware, familiar with yourself. But do you mind just a brief introduction about your journey into crypto Web3, and then we'll get rolling with all things ApeChain.
For sure. So I'm Greg, also known as Garga. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of Yuga Labs and Bored Ape Yacht Club. I'm super stoked to be here and talk about ApeChain builders and the community that's sprouted up there, and grateful to you guys for starting this. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, our pleasure. Happy to be hosting and really appreciate your time today. We do have a lot of ApeChain builders, and I don't know if you caught the earlier, we had 50 applicants apply for this startup competition today. 20 of those were existing teams that are already building. And then another 35 individuals are would-be entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs that want to build. They're excited to build an ApeChain, and they've been meshed together with a brand new team today. So you got 35 individuals comprising of 7 brand new teams would be competing. Is there any just high-level messaging, why would any of these, whether they're thinking about it or on the fence, why build on ApeChain? If you're in crypto, you're in Web3, you got an idea, you want to build on chain, why ApeChain? Let's just start there. What benefits or advantages might these builders have by choosing this as their home ecosystem?
For sure. So I've been most impressed by the NFT community that sprouted up on ApeChain. I think it's no surprise, even though the past year has been, maybe 2 years, has been so much about meme coins, pumped out fun, other kind of meme coin accelerators. Our people, our community, they love NFTs. They love the community that gets spread around them. They love exploring utility, the social aspect of NFTs. And I think ApeChain has become, a spiritual home for NFTs on the L2 layer. We've got incredible collections like G's and Zards, and our own James is Gobs on Ape, and now it looks like Mintatars are coming in a couple days. And so I think if you come here and you do something cool with NFTs, NFT communities, NFT primitives, the door is really open to you to do something fun, and the community will receive it and jump on it, and you'll get distribution that way. We're slowly building up more and more NFT primitives to make things, make NFTs as first class an experience as possible on the chain. We have shadows rolling out now with Bored Ape shadows already live on the chain, enabling things like NFT staking with Ape Stake, so that even if your NFT originated on a different chain, you can bring it to ApeChain and experience utility and build utility for it there. So I'm hoping to see, I'm pushing our team to build more and more NFT primitives and utility for NFTs on ApeChain. And I think it's a really compelling place for builders to come if that's what drives them.
Steve, you're muted.
Sorry, I was sniffly, so I was trying not to sniffle too much at the camera. So you mentioned the shadows. I know I want to get into the builders, but this is like a relatively recent development that's going to help people be a little bit safer. Can you actually expand a little bit on why that's a big deal? Because I think a lot of people, we talked about it a little bit on this show, but I think sometimes we explain it to people, they're like, so what? I already have an NFT. Why do I need a shadow? Can you dive in on that a little bit?
For sure. So Quit, our esteemed VP of blockchain, is the best one to speak on the technical aspect, but I can talk about why it's so useful. When an NFT founder is starting out, the first question that they got to ask themselves is what chain are they going to launch on? A couple years ago, it felt very obvious that ETH was the place, but as L2s have gotten more fragmented and as other L1s have sprouted up, you find this scenario now where people start off on one chain, but actually feel like that they're built for another one. We saw what that looked like with DeGods migrating several different times. And with shadows, essentially, it's a way for you to be able to prove ownership, have visible ownership of an NFT on a different chain, even though it's not the chain that you were initially deployed on. So for Bored Apes, I own a Bored Ape on mainnet. My Bored Ape shows up in my wallet on Magic Eden, the shadow of it, rather, when I go to Magic Eden on that same wallet. And that's really useful for NFT utility because when you, and exactly for Ape Stake, it makes staking, which was originally built for ETH mainnet, work seamlessly on the L2 layer. This is super useful because it's kind of complicated to prove ownership. If you're writing a smart contract and you want to target Bored Ape owners or any other ETH-L1 NFT owner for airdrops or things like that, or utility or token-gated experiences, you've got to be indexing the chain essentially every time to figure out who owns what. There's some complicated stuff going on there, whereas this just makes it really seamless. It's just like providing utility on the L1 layer. We built it because we needed it. We wanted it. We felt like it was amazing. Nobody else had built it yet. And it's useful for things that we have planned for Bored Apes and our other NFT collections. But it also opens up a whole new space for any NFT owner who wants to, experience utility, build utility for their collection on a new chain.
Yeah, it definitely opens up the door quite a bit for people and other chains, and gives this ability to go sort of cross-chain more seamlessly, which I think is just the advancement of the technology, which is awesome to see. Now, bringing it back, because I know we are here for the ApeChain Builders Conference, and again, our goal is to be like, hey, if somebody's looking to build, ApeChain's a great place to do so. Here are the ways to start to open those doors and move back that curtain. As somebody who has a front row seat, I think it's without question, you see this community being built on ApeChain. You see these NFTs that people are minting and getting excited about. There's an ApeChain space any hour of the day I can find, which I love. At the same time, I'm curious from your perspective where you're sitting, what do you think ApeChain could use more of as we talk to some of these builders today? Or what would you hope to see more of?
For sure. So I would love to see things, new primitives for NFTs, experiences that people want to create that involve NFT collections that already exist, games that involve NFTs, burn and mint scenarios, that sort of thing, social experiences. Whenever you have NFT communities, you have really strong social experiences, and so SocialFi gets really interesting, I think. NFTs, they live on Twitter. They're PFPs, they're for sharing. And so it's another way where if you actually build something that is for crypto Twitter, first and foremost, that I think we can provide really strong distribution and for a fun experience built that way. And really, we just want to see what people, where inspiration strikes for teams and see where we can pour gasoline on great ideas where they spread out.
I think you talk about the new primitives and building new stuff. We've got, we mentioned, Mac is going to join us here later. They've got the proof of work they're building on ApeChain. That's one of the things I've seen more of, just anecdotally, is it feels like ApeChain has brought back more experimenting on chain. We were kind of beating up some of the legacy NFT projects earlier this week on our morning show. That just it felt like we've hit like an innovation stall, and whereas in 21, 22. Felt like Yuga was, shipping something new every month, and while they've continued to ship new things, ApeChain, and we've got other side coming soon, it feels like ApeChain itself has brought back a lot more experimenting, both not just from Yuga, but you mentioned, James and some of the stuff he's doing, and the employees experimenting. I know Quit's done some fun, degen raffle type stuff, and that is, well, I guess it's theoretically feasible and can work on ETH mainnet. It really does feel like the chain itself has brought back more of a experimentation culture. Would you agree with that?
For sure, I would. And I think it's also, it's no surprise. I mean, look, the previous administration basically was trying to kill all crypto in the US. When you have that boot on the neck, it's hard for people to get excited and want to build new, strange, experimental things, you know, where they're going to get a letter in the mail or get sued or something like that. I think now, even though the market has been crazy with tariffs and all this, you know, insanity going on, I'm extremely bullish on the future of ETH and being able to just have fun again on chain and surprise people and delight people. I think especially on a chain where that's what, you know, it's called ApeChain. It's for apes. It's for anybody who wants to, like, you know, go recklessly into something and have fun on chain. Sorry if you're hearing my dog going nuts outside, but you know, he's
bullish for ApeChain.
Yeah.
I just feel like we should have a photo of how cute your dog is, and then everything will be okay.
Yeah, no, he's such a, you know, I got up in the middle of the night because he was, I don't know, he's unhappy today. Sorry. I think I answered a bit there, but he's very distracting.
I'm gonna jump in and kind of touch on something that you were mentioning about, you know, ApeChain is for apes, and what is exciting to me is that with, you know, with the original OG apes, mutant apes, there was always this barrier to entry where a lot of people felt like they were priced out for a very long time. You know, some of us came in earlier, some people are still here from Mint Day, and they were able to partake in this community. And then when ApeCoin launched and we were able to see all these new NFTs, I think it gave a new wave of opportunity, not only for people that have been around for a long time to continue to build, but also for new community members to show up and say, hey, it doesn't matter. Like, I've always wanted to be part of this community, or I'm part of the NFT community and I want to be able to build. And I think that message sometimes, because of the name, it gets lost, right? And that's what I tell people, even while building this virtual conference, one of the main things is like, you don't have to be an ape to be part of this. And later on, we have seen many people buy apes, right? And we have seen many people either buy an OG ape or a mutant ape, and it's exciting, yet that shouldn't hold you back. And I think it does expand the numbers, it expands the people and the talent that we have while building. How have you felt seeing that community grow? Because I think it has been, you know, a big shift into how much, not only with the different acquisitions from Yuga, but specifically with the community from ApeCoin.
For sure. Like Steve was saying, it feels like every hour of the day, there's an ApeCoin, ApeChain spaces going on. And ape follow ape has been a thing for a long time. I do my very best when I see an ape PFP, do a minute sleuthing, figure out, is this person real? Am I getting catfished here? And then I give that follow back if it feels safe. But one of the coolest things for me over the past, you know, 6 months or so since ApeChain has been out, is to see community members, people who've, you know, wanted to be part of our community and, you know, wanted to put their foot in, get involved on ApeChain as a creator, as a community member, as just like you know, somebody who's just out here on spaces all the time chatting with folks. Usually they've got an ApeChain NFT as their PFP, and I love following those guys. You see some stories where people will actually be flipping their way on ApeChain up to an OG ape or a mutant. That's incredible too. But I think really ApeCoin and ApeChain, they're born out of some of the, like, you know, the spirit that drove us with Bored Ape Yacht Club, the desire to just do fun stuff on chain and meet people and engage and have a welcoming community. But they're not, you know, it's not tied to it. It's not, we can go beyond that. And I think seeing some of these communities engage with OG apes, but also have their own vibe, that's something that we really want to figure out at Yuga, how we can pour gasoline on those communities and what they're building.
How difficult is that navigating? Because that's one of the things that we talk about at times, which is, you know, on one hand, you have sort of the ApeCoin DAO, which is one way that people get funded. We actually got sponsored by them last year when we put up for a vote and helped drive some more people to ApeCoin. Then you have sort of the foundation and those themselves. And then, of course, on the other end, you have Yuga Labs, and all these things are sort of intrinsically tied in different ways. And it feels like a system that, if it's all rowing in the same direction, it can row really fucking fast down that river. But at the same time, it's probably challenging to get that cadence all on the same sort of rowing motion. Talk about that challenge a little bit, or if it's been easy. I don't know. Actually, I shouldn't assume.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been difficult. I think crypto's hard. Decentralized systems, democracies that, you know, the DAOs are democracies, and democracies are inherently a bit messy. I think having something, I think ApeChain has been a huge level up for that coordination, because it makes it so that we're all incentivized to grow the chain. I think without that, we had a lot of folks asking, like, well, what kinds of things should the DAO be funding? What kind, you know, to promote what? Just to promote the, you know, the token, or to promote the DAO as being there to fund cool things, to promote, you know, things that are adjacent to Bored Apes or other side. Whereas with ApeChain, it's like, yeah, Bored Ape experiences and utility, we're building that on ApeChain. Other side, we're building that on ApeChain here at Yuga. But there's a lot of other things that we're, you know, tools that we're building for ApeChain too. But there's things that the foundation is doing for ApeChain to get, you know, wallets opened up, getting major Web2 brands partnering with ApeChain, and people like yourselves who can just highlight builders and alongside what we're doing. I think without the chain to kind of unify everybody, then I think it gets really hard and really messy. And I think that's why we're having a lot of fun this year with the chain to kind of organize around.
Go ahead, Laura.
No, I was thinking about the security aspect too. I know that we spoke about shadows briefly, but for people to think outside of the box, that is not. You did mention games. You mentioned, you know, building good, cool things within ApeChain, but also building solutions. And I think that's where, like, you know, to go back to shadows, and how can we talk about a little bit about that security aspect of things, just so people could think outside of the box of, you know, when utilizing the chain in general. That sure, it could be something fun, it could be something exciting, but it could also be something very practical, or that is solving an issue that we currently.
Yeah. One of the ways that I've always thought about BOYC is we were trying to, it was almost this wrapper for us experimenting on chain. You know, we wanted to see what we could do with NFTs as, you know, access tokens for digital spaces like the bathroom, or physical spaces like ApeFest. We wanted to see what, you know, NFTs as game tokens. So we held the crazy a mobile game competition in our first year where we gave away like the Mutant Mobile. We wanted to look at NFTs as you know, for physical goods, for merch and things like that. And when you do that, obviously, you're exposing the NFT on chain to, you know, to use it as that access key, to sign transactions. And we know that, you know, there's all kinds of malicious actors, not to mention North Korea, out there trying to, you know, hack chains and people's wallets all the time. Warm Wallet was it a massive level up for us, built by our friends that we knew that we acquired. Delegate has been super helpful, and Shadows is another way where we're able to kind of prove ownership across chains in a permissionless way, so that we're not getting people to sign to prove that they own something all the time. I think the more clever ways that we can build, so people don't know need to be signing things with a cold wallet, that's going to enable so much more cool stuff. There becomes a a tipping point here where it doesn't matter how cool something, something has to be really, really cool. If I have to like come out and sign it with my cold wallet, like that's got to be like something amazing, and I got to be really damn sure, because it's just not worth it. You've got for a lot of this stuff, like you just got to accept Delegate, you got to accept Warm Wallet, or there's got to be a really fun, easy way to engage that doesn't involve those things.
Really does. I mean, we talked about just the tech advancements and how we were talking, I don't know if it was earlier this week or last week, like we really were early in 2021. A lot of the stuff that now is relatively easy to do just wasn't even an option, or was very difficult, or you'd bridge and you'd hold your breath for 7 days and just hope it landed on the other side. I think we get back to this innovation and the experimenting. That there is just far more functionality today on chain than there was even just a few years ago. And then you mentioned like the regulatory environment. I even noticed that like staking on ApeChain is not geogated anymore. Like is there anything additional, like bigger picture wise, you wanted to hit on today in terms of just crypto at large, the NFT space, the layer 2, layer 3 landscape, anything at a high level you just wanted to address?
Yeah. I'm looking every day at things that frankly we wouldn't be able to do in the world 6 months ago. The aperture has opened up huge compared to where we were. And I think a lot of people can be bearish around recent price action or tariff chaos or this, that, or the other thing. But I think having an SEC that, is open to creating sandboxes for cool stuff, understands the value of this technology and its ability to deliver value to consumers in the US, seemingly is, okay with airdrops of a certain kind to US peoples, and we're not going to be geo-fenced away from everything that's, valuable. I think long-term, that is incredibly bullish. Of course, the gut reaction, I think, by the market and so many builders was like, we can launch there's no risk to me launching a meme coin now, so I'm going to go do that, That's the low-hanging fruit. I think the really exciting stuff is building things that can have an economic model intrinsic to them, protocols with buybacks and burns, things that, it's no surprise that hype is one of the strongest tokens in the market, because it has a real economic model built into it, where it's a valuable protocol, and the protocol is buying back and burning hype on a regular schedule. Frankly, that would be a terrifying prospect, under the last administration. And actually, a lot of the things that I'm seeing are that, hey, if you're doing something like that on a protocol level, you're not talking about a company doing something, but you're actually building smart contracts to perform things like that. That's something that is actually kosher here, or seems like it. And so I'm spending a lot of time exploring the new frontier of what's possible now that kind of, we're able to build and have fun again.
Is there so you mentioned being able to build, and you've kind of mentioned a couple times this juxtaposition of, we have this free open market, but we have sort of these macroeconomic conditions that aren't the friendliest. And a lot of people are looking at prices and saying, why build in crypto? And they're very sort of hyper financialized in that way. I'm curious your take on this, and maybe this is a little bit of a hot take, but the first time I actually met you, I met Gordon, I met a bunch of people, was at Art Basel during a bear market. And I noticed that the previous year, you were like a K-pop star, just surrounded by everybody, so it was impossible, or in other events during bull markets. But during bear markets, it's like I look around and everybody there was kind of, I hate to use the term right reasons, there's probably a more eloquent way to say that, but was sort of building because they truly were trying to do something game-changing and differentiating. It wasn't just the go to the moon crowd. Do you think there's some validity to the fact that we're getting this really pro-crypto environment to actually build without fear of being debanked or getting Wells notices or anything like that, at the same time as a bear market, because it's sort of going to separate a little bit of the wheat from the chaff as far as who's actually trying to build? Or do you think it's a bad time because there's not as much money? I'm curious your take on that dichotomy of an environment we're in right now.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think when the tide goes out, on the macro than a lot of people that are looking for just like super fast money, disappear. That said, if there's anything, if you've been here the past 4 years, there's always something exciting going on in crypto. And if you give that thing your attention, if you get involved in the protocol, there's incredible stories of people reaping insane financial rewards for doing so. What I think is going to happen here is you need a chain, a token, an NFT project, an activation that shows in a really compelling way now how you can produce something that has an economic model that makes just meme coins not the most exciting thing in the world. The last couple of years, if you were trying to do anything but launch the next Pepe or whatever, then you had to deal with lawyers all the time. And I can't tell you just how much that kills creativity. There's nobody in the world that knows how to kill creativity like a lawyer. Whereas
shout out Cam.
Yeah.
Just giving him a hard
he's also a chief business officer. He's got 2 lives.
That's right.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I think we're going to see something sprout up that shows the power of believing in something or holding that thing aside from just the vibes. I think we're going to see fun experiments sprout up. The reality is though, these things take time. Like you can do a meme coin in a couple days and pump it full of art and memes and be in the Discord all day or Telegram organizing, but to actually create a system, a protocol, something, a game, something that can last beyond just vibes, that kind of thing takes time. We're working on stuff along that vein, but I know a lot of other people are. And I don't think it's going to be, to your point, I don't know that it's going to be somebody new who just came into crypto, who's never built anything, that's going to be the first one to do something like this. I think it's going to be somebody who's been here, who's wanted to do something fun like this for years, who's frankly been scared off for one reason or another.
Go ahead, Cap, and then I think I have a good one to get him out of here on, but go ahead.
I was just going to do the same thing. I know we're running up against time here on him. I just wanted to see if there's any inspiring words, or I know you asked earlier, what are we lacking on ApeChain? What would you like to see more of? That was going to be my final question. Is there just any parting words for the competitors today, those that are, the 50 participants of this startup competition, anything, or those that are just listening in, because there are attendees that maybe aren't participating, but have been ApeChain curious, or they're aspiring entrepreneur. Any parting words, things to focus on or be thinking about, those that are looking to build on ApeChain?
Yeah, have fun, do something crazy. I think if it delights you, then I think it will very much have the possibility of delighting everybody else. When we were building Bored Ape Yacht Club, we had other ideas beforehand, things that we thought people wanted to see, but that we ourselves didn't necessarily think were the coolest. And there's a reason why, we didn't do those at the end of the day, or that we lost the drive to push those over the humps, because building things is hard. So I think if you're guided by you yourself would use this thing, would delight in this thing, then I think that's the best guide to building you can have.
I think it's well said. I guess one more question on my end as well is that if you were giving people advice, because I guess one of the things from today, well, 2 things. One, we'd be remiss if we didn't say happy birthday, PP Man. As always, I think it's important to make sure we get that out there. I see him in the crowd. But if you were giving people advice on how to properly, they want to build on ApeChain, like you said, maybe they're a person who's existing, maybe they're new. And a lot of the people today listening, I think part of the pitch that we had to people was the panels will teach you where to go, who to talk to, all these different things. What advice would you give to somebody if you're like, hey, we want you to come build on ApeChain. Is it involved in the community? Like, what ways would you tell someone to get started if they were saying, I have a really killer idea, it's got to go on chain? How do you get started?
For sure. Get involved in the community, buy an ApeCoin NFT, show up to some of these ApeChain NFTs, show up to some of these spaces, slide into my DMs, PB's DMs, Quit's DMs. We'd love to see how we can help. But really, James as well. And get involved in activations and experiences like this one. Connect with ApeChain folks at one of the in-person events that we show up at during the year. There's a lot of different ways in. We'd love to have you.
Awesome. Okay. Well, look, appreciate you coming through this morning. Very much so. Glad that you were able to give us sort of some opening words. And like I said, appreciate, if somebody's going to row these boats together, I'm glad you're the coxswain to get everybody in the right direction. Always one of my favorite words because it's not dirty at all. But appreciate you coming through this morning and giving us a little bit of information as we get ready to bring on our judges to start some speed round pitching. So thanks. I know you're a busy man, and hopefully the first of many ApeCons that we can continue to drive people to build on chain and on ApeChain. Thanks so much.
Oh yeah. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.